Tonight we are presenting the areas of general support, facilities, operations and maintenance, employee benefits, and transportation. It should be noted that all the numbers presented tonight are tentative and may change when we complete the budget process. We're very early on in the process, so the numbers are definitely subject to change. The board will adopt the final budget in April. So included in general support includes all departments in the central administration. Some of the larger line items include salary adjustments for the 63 non-represented employees district-wide. There is a proposed increase in general property and liability insurance in the premiums and deductibles. And there's also an increase budgeted for Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES, who we just saw here tonight, the administrative and capital charges. Also, as part of central administration, that includes the Board of Education and the district clerk, the Office of the Superintendent and Public Communications, the business office, auditing and legal services, and human resources. So this is an overview of where we stand right now with the departmental budgets for each department. I highlighted some of the larger numbers, but overall, we're looking at a budget increase of about $118,000, 3.1%. Again, the largest increases are in insurance. We don't know what the actual insurance increase rate will be yet, but there's a number budgeted in there for now. Back to the BOCES, these are mandatory charges as we are a component of BOCES, so we don't have any discretion over these administrative or capital charges. And I already mentioned the salary adjustments. Let's go to the next. So next we'll cover the facilities, operations, and maintenance. These are just pictures of our campuses. Our facilities are over 600,000 square feet, and our grounds total over 100 acres. Our operations and maintenance staff work day shifts and night shifts to clean all of our buildings. Our grounds department maintains over 100 acres of property, including playgrounds, athletic fields, parking lots, and walkways. This involves mowing of grass, maintaining flower beds, and snow and ice removal, just to name a few. This is an overview of our operations and maintenance staffing. We have a total of 47.4 full-time equivalents in this department. At this point, we are not budgeting for any increases or any decreases either for the budget for next year, so that's going to remain the same. Here's an overview of the O&M budget as it stands right now. We are down approximately $135,000 from the prior year budget. Most areas have been reduced with the exception of equipment, electricity, and supplies. As you can see, salaries make up over approximately 57% of the total budget for this department. Utility costs make up approximately 20% of the overall budget. So there's really not a lot of discretionary spending in this area. So some of the considerations in the O&M budget this year, you'll notice the salary line did decrease slightly. We had some retirements this year. We were able to hire staff at lower salaries. We've also been using substitutes less. Substitutes are hard to come by, so we've been making do without. In terms of equipment, we are looking to purchase some new cleaning equipment at each of the buildings and a purchase of a new bucket truck for the maintenance staff. For utilities, our fuel rates are down. We've kept electricity pretty static at the same level at the moment. In terms of some projects that we had completed this year, we finished installing our blue light strobes and integrated them into our current security system. We built out the new pupil personnel services space at the French Hill building. We did some renovations to the high school and middle school parking lot. And our prior year budget included monies to build out our new FlexPath program. That money's not needed again for next year. So that's been eliminated, and that's what has reduced the overall maintenance lines. Still to be determined, we have a transfer to capital that we usually, a budget transfer we make every year. It could contain for next year HVAC replacement units on the roof of the high school. We may do some more parking lot modifications, and we're still looking to identify any potential other projects that may be included. So employee benefits, this is where all the fringe benefits for every employee in the district is contained in this area of the budget. The employees' retirement system, which contains all of our non-certificated staff, the ERS rate is increasing from 14.4% to about 16.2%. The teachers' retirement system, which contains all certificated teachers and administrators, that rate is decreasing. It's currently at 10.11%. We're not sure exactly where it's going to land, but somewhere between 9.5% and 10%. Social Security tax, the max is increasing, so that will in turn increase our expenses. Workers' compensation, however, the rate is decreasing by 3.2%, so that number's down a little bit. We also include life insurance in this area, unemployment insurance, health insurance. Our health insurance premiums are increasing by 3.9%. Medicare Part B standard reimbursement is increasing slightly for next year as well. And it also contains our union welfare benefits, and that's based on, it's a flat rate based on number of employees. So here's the budget summary for benefits. It should be noted that these amounts that are represented here represent a rollover of our current staff. There have been no staffing increases or decreases accounted for. This is if we're just taking our staff, rolling it over to the same level so that you can see the impact of the rate increases in the column. You could see that ERS is going up about 150. TRS teachers retirements about $45,000 increase. Social Security about $170,000 increase. Workers' comp slightly down, and health insurance approximately $400,000 and an increase. Overall, it's about a 2.9% increase for benefits. Again, subject to change based on final staffing decisions. Next, I'm going to talk about transportation. We transport over 3,000 students daily. That includes all of our in-district students, plus any students that we transport to private or parochial schools in accordance with New York State education law and Board of Education policy. We currently utilize 67 vehicles. I won't itemize them all there. I won't read them. They're all there. Most vehicles complete 2 to 3 tiers every day. Routes are designed by the district, not by the bus company, and we utilize transportation routing software to try to find the most efficient routes that we can. This year we were, by using the transportation software, we were able to reduce approximately 4 vehicles that we were using reduced from last year to this year. We started the year with an estimated $400,000 in savings, so that is significant considering the increase in our transportation contract. So those numbers tend to fluctuate throughout the year as we need to perhaps add new routes or add monitors or remove monitors based on the needs of the students. But that's where we started out, and that's a good place to at least to start out as a, with a savings. The new contract increases our rates by 9.5% for next year. And we are continuously analyzing our routes to look for efficiencies that may generate more savings. If you recall, we did have an efficiency study done this year by an outside consultant, and they made some recommendations that we're looking at. And throughout the year, we will continue to look to see if for next year we can find additional savings. So here is an overview of the transportation budget. As you can see, the largest number here is our home to school transportation number. We're looking at approximately $144,000 increase for next year. That's also taking into account the $400,000 savings we recognize this year. So we're starting from a lower number. Our Our athletic and co-curricular field trips includes transportation to all athletic competitions, including sectionals and tournaments. Other academic competitions, such as the Aeronautics Club, participation at a national competition in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and other curriculum-based excursions. The contractual expense is down for next year because the cost of the efficiency study and bid preparation is not included for next year because we did that this year. So the final slide. So tonight was the general support, employee benefits, facilities, and transportation. Our next presentation will be on February 10th. We added to that presentation a tax cap and state aid update. Since our last meeting, the governor's proposal for state aid has been released, and we are in the process of examining it and trying to understand the impact to our district. So we will be updating the community on that next week or at next meeting. March 3rd is the Instruction General and Special Education and Technology budget presentation. March 24th will be the superintendent's budget presentation. Our budget adoption is scheduled for April 21st, budget hearing on May 12th, and the budget vote is on May 20th. So if you have any questions,
Thank you.
want me to come back?
Absolutely. Peter, we're going to start with you for questions.
With regards to the O&M budget summary, I have actually a couple questions. So the first on the salaries, the reduction there were retirements. Does that mean those jobs were excised and not replaced, or that's just the amount for less cost for the employees?
Yes, so we didn't, we replaced everyone who retired, so it's just bringing somebody in at a lower salary.
Okay.
There were other adjustments as well in terms of overtime. We took some of those numbers down. We weren't needing it, but everyone has been replaced who retired.
And then with regards to the maintenance on the building and grounds, is that large amount just from the flex path, or are we skimping on O&M and preventative maintenance or any of that? Or?
No, right, so the reduction, the bulk of it is FlexPath.
Okay.
About $100,000 was for FlexPath,
Okay.
but we are still investing in the upkeep of buildings and systems and grounds.
Okay.
Catalina?
For me.
No questions.
Lisa?
The decrease in the workers' compensation premium, is that a result of us shopping around or a decrease in claims, or what was it caused by?
So we participate in a consortium with Putnam, Northern Westchester, BOCES. All the districts are, so we're basically self-insured. So it's really based on our loss experience, which means that we've been doing a great job and employees have not been getting hurt on the job, and we've just had lower loss experience.
All right, great job, Dennis.
Rashmi?
So I had a question. I know we had commissioned a traffic study for our campuses to see if there were anything differently we could do during the morning rush hour and the afternoon one. So the campus improvements, does that include some of their recommendations in here?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So one of the recommendations was looking at a bus loop on the middle school, high school campus that can provide us greater queuing opportunities, which would alleviate some of the vehicular traffic congestion, the pedestrian vehicular traffic congestion, by putting the buses into a bus loop. So that's part of what we're considering. And then there were just some other modest improvements to each of the parking lots, Brookside and the high school, middle school specifically. But yes, Rashmi, to your point, there was a study that was commissioned, and some of those recommendations are incorporated into this.
Thank you.
Carol?
I have a question under facilities overview on slide 6. There's an asterisk on the bottom that talks about how we house the UPK program and other child care programs at French Hill that generate revenue. Do both programs, UPK and the other after-school programs or child care programs, do they both generate revenue for us, or just the
Yes.
The one that's
they-
not UPK?
Right, they both lease space from us. And
Okay.
actually, the YMCA's administrative offices are now also housed in
Okay.
French Hill, so they are, they're paying us for,
Right.
under a lease for
Okay,
that as well.
great, thanks.
Mike? No? I have a question about, actually, in the governor's budget, the air conditioning mandate that's in place. And how is that, is there, are any of those considerations in the facilities budget that now we have a certain cooling level, not just a heating level required?
Yeah, so to provide additional context for members of our community who might not be as familiar with that bill, part of the Heat Relief Act has put two numbers, two thresholds, 82 degrees. When an instructional space reaches 82 degrees, a district has to have a plan to make modifications, whether it's drawing the blinds, closing the lights, opening windows to increase ventilation. And then at 88 degrees, the class has to be relocated. So for our district, and thanks to this board, and I think it's important for the community to hear the foresight of this board, specifically our facilities planning committee, for having the foresight to invest in air conditioning 6-7 years ago. So we began in a phased-in approach to outfit many of our classrooms with window units or mini split units, and then as the next phase of the project continued, we outfitted large spaces, cafeterias, gymnasiums with air conditioning. So the heat mitigation plan in our district is not as applicable because the vast majority of our instructional spaces are air conditioned. Dennis and each of the head custodians have already undergone an assessment of each instructional space in the district to better understand, are there any spaces in the district that are not air conditioned, and there are very few, and if so, what's the plan to get air conditioning in? So some of that would be through including window units or air conditioning and ventilation in some other capacity, but generally through window units. And we're hoping that given the few spaces that would need to be fortified, we would be able to absorb that within either an operating budget or some other source of funds for the district. So it wouldn't be a capital project at this point because of the foresight of this board in investing in some of those HVAC upgrades.
Thank you. Pete, any other questions? Catalina? Lisa? No? One other question, and that's on the electric costs. Are we able to capture how much our electric savings we have based upon all the LED lights we have put into the district, and if that has helped us to lower our electric costs or keep them stable in any way?
Yeah, I'll try to answer that as
Yeah,
best
I
I
know.
can. We've been tracking our kilowatt usage. We've been pretty consistent, so to those ends, the LEDs have certainly helped. I don't know that we can put a figure on it, only because we have so many other uses which technology introduced to all these classrooms. So there's other sources that we create electric in these classrooms, and the LEDs, like I said, certainly help. But we only have a small fraction of spaces that have LEDs right now. With the new additions coming, each of the classrooms will be having LEDs. So that will be first in the classrooms. Really, we see the LEDs in large spaces, the gyms, the cafeterias, and corridors.
And what I'll add, though, Jackie, to that point is we've stayed relatively consistent, but we've only added to the demands of the electrical system. So by increasing the number of air conditions and device charging stations and all of the other demands on the electrical equipment to have a relatively flat usage of our kilowatts probably is a testament to some of the other measures we've taken to be more energy efficient. That's what I would argue. With regard to LEDs, we also upgraded the Charlie Murphy field lights to be LEDs, and that was a huge savings as well because relamping those are pretty demanding fixtures. So to relamp those with LEDs was certainly a cost saving, and we're looking at other opportunities within corridors and classrooms to trade out lights on a schedule basis.
Anybody else? I think we're good for now. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate your staying late.